Yeah. I'm sure there's others.
All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. And
Yeah, but why should I be the difference? I don't even get the alcohol.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you, everyone. Tonight, we're going to get into the budgets. Last week, we had a presentation, and then tonight, we're going to start going into the budgets. But before we do, there's a couple things I want to mention. And one, right off the bat, sometimes the questions or the answer didn't come back. So that's why my minutes are not done. I'm spending an awful lot of hours trying to get this to work. So please be careful how you raffle the papers, okay? Next thing that was asked at the last meeting, the school public hearing is going to be Tuesday, January 12th at 6:30 p.m. It's going to be held here unless we have a lot of people here that the fire department would deem probably unsafe. So primarily it's going to be here.
What meeting is that, Bob?
That's the school public hearing, January 12th, 6:30 right here. They've already set their,
So rather than having it at the school, we're having it here for the camera.
and I will have to think that would have to be at the school, because I don't know if we can get enough people in here. We'll have to have it at the school because there's so many.
They do every year, Bob.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we get so many people, they're gonna be sitting on both sides. So, the other thing that I wanna do,
When was
which one?
the second meeting?
Deliberative session?
Yeah, deliberative session,
It's February 6th,
February 6th.
1
Okay,
PM.
thank you.
Okay? This has been set already by the school percent. Now, remember what Doug Shute said at that meeting. He said, we cannot sustain it at 2% or keep it down. Somewhere, it's going to start rising. And it started. So, but last week, I've gone over this budget, and from what I can see, there are two main drivers that driving the cost up. And that's the special ed, which is very high because of the Bright Beginnings being put in there instead of the SAU budget. Then technology, to replace equipment. Those are your two big budget drivers. As I've gone through it, I spent the whole day on that alone. From what I can see, this is a needs budget. It is not a wants budget. Everything in here has a purpose. Okay.
Because we decided we would not have a special meeting.
Okay.
We are gonna deal with the budget tomorrow
Okay.
night. It's part of our meeting.
Okay, Stan.
Bob, I think we ought to have input for every member on the board.
Request made. Okay, Mike, this is for, to let the public input. A yes would say yes. If you say yes, that means you are in favor of it. So I'm gonna ask you first, Mike.
Let's have a time for the entire meeting?
This
In
is-
part?
This is what it is. What are you saying? For the entire meeting?
It is a public meeting. I think they have a right to do it.
I'll second it.
Sorry, Larry, I guess I'm not with it tonight. Discussion on the motion.
Discussion on the motion. There are several contexts for public meetings. There is a public meeting held under the direct control and authority of the committee. That would be the Board of Selectmen meeting, that would be the school board meeting, that would be the Budget Committee meeting, the Conservation Commission. All conversations held as private forums and conversations in the hall. My concern is for the structure, authority, free speech. When you sign on to be a selectman when you sign on to be, is agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God. That's different than having a conversation of 3, 4, 5, a half dozen people believing that they have equal responsibility with the elected members of either the Board of Selectmen, the school board, or the Budget Committee.
Any other discussion? Okay. Mike,
Excuse me.
Ann,
And what's going on at these meetings, and, you know, I'm not opposed to hearing anybody's opinion on anything, but that's what's supposed to happen.
Yes.
Larry,
No?
Lou,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Ann,
No.
chair says no. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 to 3, the motion passes. Okay. Since the board
Excuse me.
has been
We're
helpful,
best.
if we could have got him a book or something, because it's going to be hard for them to follow. So. Okay. We're going to start with regular education, 1100 line. Anybody got anything here? Any questions? Ann?
I'd just like to make a comment. The first 3 lines, the elementary teachers, middle school,
Stan?
So that's a commitment that that position will not be filled.
exactly. Yes.
Tom?
By intentionally not filling that position, what are we giving up?
What are we giving up as far as,
Yeah, you're not filling a position, so
With that in mind, we were able to, with the other, take some of the groupings of kids that we have currently and kind of with the other remaining math teachers, both from from 7th through 12th grade, able to reshuffle some of their assignments and also split some of the kids up into different sections to provide the math support that they are required.
okay.
Anybody else? Lou?
Under substitute teachers, this year and next year is really high. This year it's up to 23 and 23 again. That's kind of high.
hold on 1 second.
The only thing I ask, please speak loud enough so I can pick it up on this. I can't.
Last year, we spent 105. The year before, we spent 80. 90's like a number right in the middle. It's hard to judge maternity leaves, long-term illnesses.
Anything else? Lou?
Oh, I have a bunch, but not
Okay, well,
right in this particular area.
all right, Dan.
If I may, 52-110 to be, as in you say holiday, whatever that called, the holiday premium. You're confident. We have that saying that there's not going to be any contribution to the school district at all this year.
It's.
Okay, so you're saying previous budget. All right, so we're discussing this one here. So we know for a fact there ain't going to be nothing at all.
We went through a substantial decrease from, was it 100,000 a year prior to 10,000 this current school year. So we're not anticipating with that substantial of a decrease, any holiday premium for next year.
Larry, you had your
Or
hand up.
guaranteed.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead, finish, Mr. Terzi.
Sorry.
I want to make sure I get it, though.
You got it, Bob.
Because the bulk of premiums in the system permit a reduction in total costs for the year, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Lou, go ahead.
Okay, in the insurance, how many people get the buyouts? I'm not asking who, but how many?
Don't have that number for you this evening, though.
Okay, it's approximately $3,700 per person gets a buyout if they don't take that 3,700. So why isn't that coming out of the insurance line? I don't believe in the buyout personally, but that's a matter for another time and for the board to decide. But are you, for all these people that take a buyout, you're got listed in these lines, a full single?
Okay, Mr. Terzi?
No, the way the health insurance lines are budgeted is based on what our current health insurance, what the current employee takes for health insurance. So if a employee is getting a buyout, we budget.
A buyout. Because that even influences the 7% for the support system, because they'll get a 7% raise, and then if there's another raise at the next time to help them pay for the 20% that they have to pay, then where am I going with that?
Buyouts, I know Lou is not fawning them, she never has been, but they do save the school district some money. In that scenario that she gave, a husband and wife team, the husband takes the
5-year running average of the number of employees, the number who have opted out, and the number of potential opt-outs. We have 150 employees, and what is the highest number that you believe has ever taken a buyout? 1/3? 10%? 5%? That would be 50 out of 150. 10 out of 150 per year?
it's taken
That-
at a glance.
That would just, that would give a very quick, and then if you have 50 people who take a buyout.
We'd have to budget a lot more for insurance.
No, I mean, have you experienced a swing of $150,000 in a given year because people took the buyout?
Almost given this in the operation and maintenance. It looks like operation and maintenance, you've got also maintenance repair of buildings, that would be 100-2610-50. Okay,
So it's not specific to facilities.
but there's also, and I don't believe it's in the 1100 lines, but I think there's also other lines that cover maintenance of equipment, new repair. I thought I saw that. But like I said, I almost hate to ask a question about numbers that are kind of small, but
Okay, the only thing, Tom, I'd like to try and
Yeah.
from
The last meeting.
Well, if that's for reading, why couldn't we get some volunteers in and save ourselves $14,000?
It's not specific to reading, it's specific to, as we stated in the last meeting, those two volunteers will be working with mentoring students, as well as they're there all day, 5 days a week, mentoring, assisting on the playground, working with at-risk youth as well.
You want to hire out everything and not look internally or within the town. My other questions is middle and high, which is just below that. Contracted services, that's 15.9. Is one of the 7,000s in there, is that the new thing that you want to do for counseling, or would that be in the counseling line? And why this year and last year is it up?
Those two lines are level funded for this current school year. They do include the in-house counseling services that are being contracted out for.
Anybody else on the 1100? Dan?
56410-1, 56410-3, elementary and high books / digital resources, or / digital learning resources. They're up considerably. Couldn't that be something that could be on a warrant article?
Calculus class, Running Start class. To pull those out as a warrant article does not leave us any monies in that line to purchase those resources.
Computer equipment, I've seen it running through the whole budget. You want new computers and they're still through the whole budget.
$57,340.
734.
Yes.
Yeah, -2, yeah.
-2.
I didn't highlight it, I read when I had highlighted.
We have those in there for the cost of 2 printers, which are not part of the tech in the printers as a piece of technology hardware, like a tablet or a laptop or desktop.
Larry?
Superintendent Tursi. When the computers go out to bid, people who have raised serious concerns about cost, about retail cost, you will be able to provide a clear track of the bid process and the rationale for choosing an X line of software versus a Y line of software, and the backup justification for choosing one vendor.
If this is your question prior to this budget
But
moving to the voters.
the Budget Committee always lives in the future.
Okay. Thank you. But yes, we'll be following the bid process.
Was put in there because of the expense last year. You know, the way we're going this year, we're gonna have a really late snow. Is it possible to create a miscellaneous line in the budget that things like, is what I'm asking clear, or am I? Okay.
The difficulty with putting a miscellaneous line in there with monies for unanticipated expenses is that you want a trend of unanticipated expenses, they then become anticipated and you can budget for them in the proper function. I'm very hesitant to put in miscellaneous budget lines because they're very difficult to first understand and second to explain when it comes to the budgeting process. That's my opinion.
Okay, I'm just, like I said, as I look through.
Page 2, elementary replacement furniture, it's 57,370. It's down near the bottom of that function. This year and next year, put it out to bid to see where we can get it the cheapest.
We definitely look for the cheaper quotes for the products that we need. This doesn't tend to include.
I just wanted to make a point to Tom's question. It's also very important that we track things by schools, because when we send in our reports to the state of New Hampshire, you know, they keep track by which school the money was spent on, instead of having miscellaneous.
Please speak loud enough so I can get this.
On the elementary furniture, really, something like that really should go on a ballot. A warrant article, I'm sorry, to let the taxpayers make that.
Budget's going in as a warrant article, but the thing is, if we start nitpicking this, we're gonna have one heck of a warrant article list. That's the only thing, I mean,
That's unfortunate, but
there's gotta be a limit, because we can't have 100 warrant articles.
Andy Rawson, who is one of our selectmen, raises the good question, and that is, what are the selection criteria of Mr. Adams, possibly? Any feedback on age, where?
No, I don't have those records.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the 1100 line?
It is elementary sped tutor salaries. It is 51, 230.
Dash one.
And it's way up from 500.
Difficulties, therefore, that's a position that's required according to that specific student's need.
Anybody else on
And you have to include it looks like their health insurance too, in all of these calculations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, special. I mean, can you account for that? What's going on here with this?
Yep, one of the things I want to make sure that the budget committee is aware of, Bright Beginnings has always been in the 1200 function. It was under elementary page 4. That originally was where Bright Beginnings was located. And then what we've done is we've actually taken Bright Beginnings and broke it out into their own. And it looks confusing now, but it'll be.
finish them because I've been working on them and I've had to deal with noise here. And the video was not available to me, so some of the stuff is in there. You know, my apology to the committee. But there's just only so much I can do in a day. So
of the SAU budget, and now they're going to become Milton employees.
100%.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I apologize that my back's to you.
No worries.
it's important I get this because I don't trust the video.
Detailed, and you are also planning in anticipation of disaffiliation, not that the costs are excessive to the students being served.
1,000. Can you give me an explanation?
Yes, that's a piece of equipment that we need to purchase for a student that requires that specific piece of equipment that we hadn't anticipated this current fiscal year.
Like what? It's another computer line. It's 340.
Elementary and middle.
And they're
Those monies are in there specifically.
If nobody can put a budget together perfect without the unknown factors. They do have to have something in there, and then if it does happen, I mean, I can't make a.
Doesn't get spent, is that correct?
well, they can use the money somewhere else.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Can it be used somewhere?
For that $500 for that computer equipment that wasn't spent because we didn't need it might go towards the services that need it, as long as it's within the same function itself, the 1200 function. If it all goes
So
well.
it's not like you can take that and go spend it on curtains.
No.
Right.
They can.
They do. They can. It's a bonded budget.
Anybody else on the 1200 line?
Is that a normal fluctuation for this line? Because I noticed the year after that, it was again 203,000, I think it was.
Yes, it was.
Is that normal for? Actually, I've got one other question.
Go ahead.
Apologies, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Is the Bright Beginnings that you said that was?
Yes.
The preschool we're required at age 3 to identify any students with disabilities and provide an education to them. That's your preschool program.
9 line Medicaid fees. Anybody got it? Yes, Dan.
That increase of $4,000, is that directly to the raises? when it says Medicaid, is that the Medicaid?
This is, we bill Medicaid for certain students with certain disabilities. We're allowed to bill Medicaid, and these fees cover the cost of the billing.
Correct. We have a service that's provided to us.
It's at 9%, yes.
And over the years, we've been getting more and more from Medicaid as revenue, so the cost has gone up. Because the company charges you per how much you're getting back.
Okay. Anyone?
Well, it's a reduction, so I don't think I have too many complaints.
Okay. All right. 1400 line, other instructional programs.
And it's getting higher and higher.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I can answer that. We've been fortunate over the past 2 summers, throughout the summer, all the way from the first week school's out to the week prior to school starts. So the school has been operating throughout the summer by providing opportunities for students. Now that that grant is no longer available, we're looking at budgeting that within the operating budget to sustain that opportunity for students during the summer.
But not all of this is enrichment money, is it?
You know, we also offer, that's part of our, what's considered our regular summer school program for academic purposes, in the sense that these are.
You got your answer?
Yeah, he said no,
Okay.
that they don't contribute like every other school system has.
Sorry, I've been a little busy. Anybody else on instructional?
That, for example, if we are charging nothing for a summer school program with these criteria of other districts?
I had checked with Rochester, and they do contribute. It's not
Mhm.
free.
Okay.
Rochester's about $200 for some, per student.
Thank you.
Next grade level with a successful track record because of summer school. So we have seen that. As for the enrichment component of summer school,
I'm clueless. I don't have any idea. I mean, you know, when I was going to school, you know, summer school's because you failed a class and you're not going to graduate.
still that way.
What offerings are, what is the enrichment program? What types of things do you offer?
We
to
had,
do that?
we had, and Mr. Curry, you can speak to this. Yeah, just jump right in, because
We had-
it's really exciting.
Over the course of this past summer, a lot of the enrichment opportunities were student-driven, both through, we partnered up with a faculty member. We had some that were very successful. We had students who worked continuously. When Friends of Newt, for example, came in, they got some lunch out of it, and be able to, for community members, we fed the police would come in, just to kind of build some community. The other major part that we're seeing now as the school year is beginning with the.
As Mr. Courier said, there was a basic food program, there was an opportunity for students to make meals for their families at school and bring them home.
Okay, yeah, the big thing in my mind is there's money being spent on a sort of extracurricular activity, but yet Mr. Courier is saying, he's seeing that the schools are seeing measurable benefit from having spent that money in discipline issues, to paraphrase what he said, and fewer discipline issues, because he believes that
The bill for that, correct? Because in the past it was grant money.
Yes.
That's correct.
So, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, I think it's a great do. I know that the school that my son goes to has enrichment classes, we pay for them. And those enrichment classes are, helping to get a foot up in math or other things like that. What you're talking about is volunteerism, and that volunteerism those kids do as part of their curriculum and part of their grades to graduate. So I'm just asking, is this something that the townspeople actually need to foot the bill for?
The idea to ask the parents to pay for it in light of our tax
taxes, and I might not be able to afford it.
But that's summer school. Summer school is for passing classes and moving up.
Correct.
Enrichment,
Don't have anything to do outside of what the current offerings are in Milton, particularly because they might have transportation to get to those other places outside of Milton. Students would normally be able to participate in.
That young lady, I saw her hand, I'll get, please speak loud.
What was the?
It started at 30,000 a year, and then it went up in last year, which was the last year. It was 32,500.
Budget is what I'm asking. So it's very small and it's giving it's giving a really positive activity to the children, is my question.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So if this was taken out, it wouldn't decrease our taxes significantly.
Nathan?
It also covered expenses for the whole year. It wasn't just for summer, that I-3 grant.
More like a recreation. I didn't know if this maybe, as far as the town was concerned, it was more of a recreation department to perform these events of kayaking, hiking trips, and they have a different budget. It's a different department. It's more on the town side than the school side. And the teachers could definitely still be involved in that same way, and donations, a lot of the
Just get a response. Ann?
Just so everybody's on the same page, the enrichment part of it, and Mr. Tercey, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is an additional $4,000.
That's correct.
Okay. That gentleman right there. Speak,
Russell
your
Neal.
name, please.
It's $4,000. How many kids?
Sir, need your name.
Russell Neal.
Okay.
It's $4,000. How many kids? 35 to 40.
Go back to my own high school, where I was a regular attendee in the summer school. Most pride. And I'll put the question even sharper, and that is, there's no value to poetry until you find words that mend a heart. And I will give you about 15 of them. And it's mostly Emily Dickinson, as I remember it. And it's death. And it says, the ones we don't know, we're going to go off to an early death from drugs. So, where is their pride? Where is their community spirit? What do they have as a resource when the only thing constant in their lives may be the school? Just a thought.
Okay, please state your name.
Hi, Sarah Lavasser. I'm just wondering if maybe we're not seeing an accurate picture because we're very focused on the recreational aspect.
1,400, 52,320-3.
That would be specific to the increase in those salary lines.
The salary's doubled? If that line doubled, and it's relatively just to raises, then you're saying in the retirement.
No, there is not.
Okay, then I'm still lost. If that line is not quite double, all right, and there's no increase, how can there be that much of an increase? How can that line double? Is it a typo? me for 1,400.
Anybody else? Do.
I got 57,350 high co-curricular replacement equipment. What is 10,500?
Of mats for the cheerleading team because of for safety reasons. Obviously, you can't use skating because they're going to be falling on a hard surface. You have mats for that. But the rest of it is increased for again for cycling of uniforms, tape, pre-wrap, equipment really for that.
Yeah, but before that, the mats, it was $7,000 or $8,000, and now it's, why? Couldn't it go back down to the 7,000 or 8,000?
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Okay. 2120, guidance. Anyone?
Well, there's a reduction of 27,000, so that's a good start.
Okay. Got no questions. Okay. 2210, improvement of instructions.
I do have an overall question, Bob.
Yep.
It went down 12,900 on all grades. Just a brief summary of why. Not that I'm complaining.
I understand, Stan. These.
Thank you. Sir, a question on that. In the same way that you are required.
The teacher has that as part of the contract, is correct. So this line is somewhat, again, as a gamble. However, looking back at the 2 years of actuals, there was a decision made to reduce those lines because of what was spent. However, that could go up because we're obligated to pay those.
If Carl Sagan came back to teach a course in science, there might be a complete sign-up to see him.
Going almost all the way to the bottom of that function on page 9. It's 56410-2. 5, Nathan. But the warrant article is the 5,000 for the library. That's a warrant article that got forgotten last year. So that's got to come out.
Okay.
Just so you know, there was an agreement in the past that the school would put 5,000 in their budget for books for the Newt's library. This is not the public library up in Milton Mills, but the books can be, it could be anything associated with that. And that does not belong in this budget because that is a definite warrant article.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Anybody else? Tom?
Yeah. Please.
Well, they do have $1,350 in there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it seems to me that would be
Computers are
one
computers.
to go in the least. And, if you're gonna
Right, but
replace
they-
computers, that's.
It's not like they zero funded the line.
Yeah,
They do have money in there for one of two computers.
Yeah, I'm suggesting that it's not here, and that gets rolled into the lease. And zero fund that line.
Okay, all right, you're going the opposite way I thought you were.
Yeah.
Part of the library. Is it possible that those two bottom lines combine for a specific computer application which is not like by
Subscription to the EBSCO database, which is major research for our students.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Tom?
One other question. You got AV materials for the elementary, middle, and high school. What types of materials are those? I mean, I'm assuming it's not computer material because it would be under a computer line item. What nowadays?
Screen as well.
Okay.
That might be
All right.
necessary. We have a couple portable screens that can be.
Okay.
signed
Okay, so
out
it's
on
not,
order.
it's not necessarily the media itself, it's the support stuff you need to display the media.
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. 2310, school.
And it's way up. I mean, 15, it's almost doubled from last year. Why?
A little over $7,500. The FY15 actual, that's a variable that we can't control. We level funded it in this proposed, might require legal services.
Anybody else? Tom?
I'm looking at a couple of the numbers that are in the, like the line 53,820 in the school board. I see fiscal year 14 actual was 82,7366, pretty exact number. 15.
The auditor wasn't. So you're.
Okay, I'm
Anything
done.
else, Tom? Anybody else? 2410, Office of Principal. Matters.
Well, just take the high school, for example. Fiscal year 17 budget was 30,000, so that means a 50% increase in the high school principal health? 50%.
Oh, go ahead there.
So the question would be, are health insurance costs driven? Do we object that costs have gone up? And the answer is yes.
Go back, Larry? Tom?
Are these health numbers also impacted by the Mo and now? My memory's really good, but really short. There was something that you said that wasn't being it was
$30,000 for 14, almost 15. What is the driver behind that?
The base is, it's based on the choice of plan. Keep in mind, all employees can either choose for a single plan, a family plan, or a two-person plan. And come July 1st of any year, they can change whatever plan they potentially have.
Okay.
And anytime, if there's a change of employee,
That's what I thought
they
it
might
might have
choose a
been,
different
yeah.
plan.
even, when virtually none of the other numbers in that column, is it, it seems suspicious. I hate to say suspicious because that makes it sound like I'm accusing somebody of doing something wrong. But it sticks out in my mind when I see a number, especially buying something like software, which is very frequently, $239. And I see a round number of 250.
The possibility is there, but these lines that you're referring to are specific to our student discipline software for our data collection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically a contract that comes in every year.
Insurance again, because I know that there's nothing that can be done with the insurance premiums this year. And I know that the teachers have, I think that's where a lot of our costs are coming from, but there's nothing that we can do about it now. When are we gonna revisit that?
Mr. Did you, or Doug?
Next year?
Next,
Fiscal year 18.
Okay. Yes. Please speak loud, please.
Okay, you will speak loud.
Experienced so many years. Not that they aren't doing a good job, but they have not got the experience that somebody that's, it's the job, it's not.
And when tracking the costs of medical insurance, one thing we have not done is talk about for his daughter. I have a friend who is spending $71,000 a month for treatment of melanoma to keep it out of her bone.
Okay, we'll move on. 2610, operation and maintenance. Stan.
Well, 51190-1, 5190-2. They are duplications. Operations, maintenance supervisor, I take that, SUPV, is that correct? Exact numbers. Why is it listed twice? A, and B, they're both up $9,400.
Custodians is an additional, the overall difference is $6,300.
Which way?
Budget. An increase of $6,300.
Extra duties for this money?
Correct, we reduced a part-time custodian.
So how many hours did you reduce to part-time custodian?
It was 3 days a week.
15 hours.
And I divide that by 15 hours, that's what it comes up to.
15 hours a week, 52 weeks.
Okay, you're gonna be done that, this is annually, right, so you're gonna divide that, 18 divided by just picking up, that's what I have to base it off of.
Keep in mind that your entire salary, for that position includes your salary and benefits.
And that number includes the benefits.
No.
No.
Okay. What I'm just breaking it down, very simple math. We took the 18,500, and it's even more than that, and I divided it by 52 weeks. Then I divided that by the 15. That's their decision. I don't think we can speak for them.
so can we get rid of it too?
I'm sorry?
Can we get rid of it too?
Ann, go ahead.
We're talking about the person that is in charge of all of our facilities in this school district, who has a very deep knowledge of our buildings, of our heating systems, of all the work that's been done. Cost to the school district to bring the facilities director totally in Milton is $6,000 for the year, and that is worth every penny of it.
Okay,
But that's not gonna happen.
so that's the number.
That doesn't make any sense that it's only 6,000 out of 18.
Anybody else? Stan?
Line 50.
Reimbursements, that's why it's higher.
So that's the floor.
Okay, so how does the taxpayer get that 3,000? Have a den of this, but okay, I'm gonna leave that alone for now.
Okay. Say Ann.
Okay, so Stan, for instance, if you look at our phone for last year ending in June,
What page you on?
I'm looking at my expense report from last year.
Okay, well, yeah, so what page you on?
16, oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm looking at
Lower right hand corner.
16, that work.
Okay.
21, if you look at the phone, both of those lines are overdrawn significantly, one by 10,000, one by 16,000. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's because we haven't received, as of June 30th, we had
54,230, and I guess 30.
54. Fifty-four, 230-2 is what you're talking about, correct?
Yes.
Dash one.
Dash one.
Dash one.
And that's based on as the notes in the front, it's based on a 3-year average actual plus 3% and $4,500 for the softball field.
Well, that's $4,500 a year. To me, that's way too much money for that. I know the plan was for a certain company to set up a new ball field.
In all fairness to him.
It's the same deal from the same company.
I mean, I don't think
Fred
that's
Hammer.
right. 45. Spend that now.
We don't have it now.
We have one up at the town beach,
Right,
but
but I'm saying they
they're
don't-
saying, we're gonna create this new one, and okay, it's gonna cost you $4,500 a year.
And
Currently, I believe the boys play at the town beach and the girls play over at Lockhart, which is,
Lockhart is not in
Well,
That way.
that's, and they're not even considering the water costs, because the water that waters that field is gonna go.
the girls and the middle school sports teams need a safe field to play on.
Not saying that, Ann.
Tom,
People need to know.
On line 54, 300, 1 and 2, went down, each of them roughly 16,000 each.
Determine what the specific needs are and the costs.
Okay, thank you.
anybody else? Oh, go ahead.
And okay.
You talking about each one of those?
Well, not at the top, those are pretty standard, but, like general repairs, what are you looking at? What's the matter with the heat?
Well, you can have a circulator fail, and you need to rebuild a pump for that.
That's probably something we could take over ourselves. Building automation system, what is that, Bob?
That's the HVAC system. Yes.
I don't see daylight anymore.
You could from time to time, and then they have to be replaced again. That would be elevator repair. Usually happens during the inspection that it gets discovered.
Now, the last thing here, I have rug cleaning, library guidance, new entrance. I was under the impression that we had a nice scrubber for that.
We do, yeah, and we outsource some of that on an annual basis, and we do the regular maintenance and on the fly with that scrubber.
If we have a nice rug scrubber, doesn't that clean the rugs?
Yes, 'cause we use it for doing the main traffic area.
Well, I know, but still.
Mhm.
What's that, Lou?
Did that part, yeah, thank you.
Tom?
And again, looking at your breakout of the repair stuff, I noticed you've got 2 annual licenses for safety days.
Removed, and the outsourcing might be for an application and vacuuming system which goes through a water supply and to the playing fields. Based on anyone's experience with other school districts, the quality and location of playing fields available, and the district's obligation to equality under Title IX for women's sport. In your opinion, do the playing fields at Milton are those fields as they exist acceptable to visiting teams, or do you find that you are at a loss?
Yeah.
It's still people that live in town, you know what I mean? Just a thought. Asking the residents to please come to the recycling center with this goes here, this goes here, and this goes there, like, as my family does. We should be charging the kids right from the start to do that, and throw it in the back of that 1-ton truck you got and bring it down. You know? And that's just my thoughts. We're looking to cut money. Everything helps.
Yeah, you got plenty of time on your hands, don't you, Bob?
I mean, we still pay for it.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, it looks like on your online 57310, still in the equipment maintenance, you've got a fairly specific number of $3,911 in there. Are you looking to purchase a specific piece of equipment there? And might I inquire as to what that would be? And if it's in the backup material, I apologize for being lax in my duties.
It's about 24 commercial.
Okay, I got another question, and I'm not.
Government trust fund. As for the work that was done over the summer, that was a separate warrant article.
That was a warrant article?
Yes.
Facilities analysis at the elementary school inside.
Okay, I didn't know that. I just wanted to know if it was coming out of a line, because I have a couple of other questions that I missed. I thought they'd be back here and the end,
Yeah, we can do that.
whenever.
Okay, I'll just have to remember it.
I will,
Moving
I
up.
will.
Tom, you got another question? Or
No,
you set?
no, I'm good.
Anybody else on operation maintenance? Okay, 2710, transportation. Anybody?
The next line is middle field trips, 1,300. That's a new line. High school field trips is 3,100. That's a new line.
Those new lines are specific, again, trying to put the monies where they should be. They were originally in the 1100 function, regular education, and they were for transportation costs, so we put the monies in. So we based that on FY15 actual.
Well, why did that go up?
Because this current fiscal year, we only budgeted 5,000, and then when we got our FY15
have to be prepared though.
Oh, I know, you've got plenty of fluff. Sorry about that.
Anybody else on transportation? I do have a question on the fuel.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
We getting any fuel from the state shed in Milton? Or do they have to travel to Wakefield or Rochester?
Currently,
A summary that due to the surplus of barrels of oil, that they predict that it's gonna take into 2018 before the surplus is depleted to where it was a couple of years ago, and we were paying almost $4 a gallon. And the summary of this article was stating that they feel the prices are even gonna go lower. Now, this was just an article. I don't know where they got what they're basing it on. I just read the article.
Prices through the end of 2017, by which is added to the increase in production, American production of some 3 million barrels. I believe that would be per day to about 7,400,000, plus the slowdown in the European economies and the slowdown in
Japan.
the slowdown year and rising certification process for any new plants.
All set there?
That's all I remembered.
Okay.
So it sounds like quite a few people are saying the same thing.
Yep.
Anybody else on transportation? I'm gonna go to the next one, 2711, special ed transportation. Dan.
So that's for one student. Because in 2015, the actual was 2635.
right.
Are they going way out of town?
That seems excessive for 2 trips a day, 5 days a week.
It's an uncontrollable cost.
But it's been put out to bid. Assuming that
Else? No. Okay, 2725, field trip, co-curricular. That's just a, oh, that was the same line. No, this is the next line.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, on that, we need to look into the 52310-2 line, the retirement on that.
310 line, new equipment is 6,640. I was under the impression that guy said we didn't need any new equipment.
That's specific to 2 overhead projectors at the elementary school, as well as a sound system in the multipurpose room at the elementary school.
Okay. Oops, I lost it. Oh, 57,340-1. Okay. Any other questions on technology? Yes. Tom.
Given that you're asking for basically $76,000.
That's because those lines are specific to our contract with Back Bay, who maintains our networks and our servers, not that they don't maintain the actual equipment themselves if something breaks.
Okay, so that's the contract that you have with Back Bay, that's not, okay, all right.
Larry, you have something?
that if I may, we are still on the same piece of paper. I wanted to go back.
And we'll go back in. I'm sorry, Larry, I should have caught that. but-
I should have been listening more carefully. No problem. I have my own notes.
Okay. Anything else in technology? Yes,
Bart
that
McKenzie.
gentleman there.
I was just curious, the computers, have we put out to bid the rental, or are we just using Back Bay as a default because we are currently in business with them?
Yeah, go ahead.
We were
That you currently have a contract with, what do you recommend? And then he came back with a $76,000 proposal for the first year. Because there's additional money for the out years.
You just keep what you have.
That's correct. Your first year is at $75,400. The monies that you see in here, $428,000. Your second year is $96,552, and then your third year is at $107,000. After that third year, you have an option as to whether to go into another 3-year lease or not. So you can revisit that.
$107,000 a year.
Potentially.
Yep.
Again, you would.
In perpetuity.
So we have that. You.
Kind of forever. Because you're going to be having the same technology issues 3 years from now that you have today. You got all this equipment that you front loaded in that's going to be 3 years old and not current and not up to date and not security, not all the same arguments you got today for doing it are going to exist 3 years from now. Nothing really will change, and that's the nature of computers.
Doesn't mean that it's broken and needs to be fixed. That's what bothers me about this. I mean, I had a computer that broke quick, but I had another one that's already 4 years old. So I don't get the whole concept of, oh, we got to change it every 3 years out. Totally.
People to view. I just want the committee to know it's a 96-page document. So I'll be happy to provide that to the budget committee if you like. Each individual member, Mr. Chair.
And I'll understand one page, the first one.
That's a lot of pages. I wouldn't be printing them out, I'll tell you that. If the committee wants it, I will ask for it.
We can send it to you electronically.
Just send it to me electronically?
If we put that lease on the warrant article and it fails, then it fails, and we don't have any money in this operating budget to buy new computers next year, and we desperately need.
And if, for me, not necessary, to detail the numbers and configuration and application sites for the computers, and how they are in distinction to what for our library would be a public access terminal in the library, or a computer which is dedicated to from Hewlett Packard, from I believe the Chinese IBM Lino, and what those costs stranded out would be by comparison. Because the distinction that I think either Tom or Andy could speak to for the purchase of the truck. Back.
That's wishful thinking, Larry.
John's got his hand up.
I'm trying to cover everybody.
John.
All done?
That I think that's the issue, because in 3 years we will either have a use or a specific level of computer sophistication or not. What is
Do we have, okay.
Okay, just gentlemen.
Not to belabor this, but Russell Neal again, just, were there any alternatives explored? You know, in dollars and cents, we buy the machines, this is what it costs, we buy this many machines this year, you know, so that you can make a comparison, kind of like Larry was asking, but a comparison of the different alternatives. We lease them, it costs this, and this is a projection out for 10 years, because you're really talking about
$440.
Voters.
The tax. Ballots. It's washed.
Leaving in what?
Removed. And this is.
General.
So. Budget season.
Originally,
Services or two, your salary.
oh, I. This is,
For the
Have to go.
Number, but